to ESPN's continuing coverage of the first round of the 2014 National Invitation Tournament here in Columbia, Missouri at Mizzou Arena. It's the Tigers hosting Davidson in the Minnesota region. These are the 8 teams trying to get to Madison Square Garden and the NIT Final Four. The winner of our game moves on to meet the winner of tomorrow night's matchup between Southern Miss and Toledo. Bob Wischusen alongside Malcolm Huckabee. And Malcolm, in our one-on-one, 2 terrific players.
Davidson is led by Damon Brooks, the Southern Conference Player of the Year. For his career, he's over 1,700 points and over 750 rebounds. He is a matchup nightmare. And then for Missouri, they're led by Jabari Brown, first-team All-SEC. He led the SEC in scoring, an explosive guard. He can score in a variety of ways.
Checking the starting lineups for the Wildcats. Damon Brooks helped out in the backcourt by Brian Sullivan and Tyler Kalinowski. Those 2 both average double figures. And what an overall backcourt it is for Frank Haith in Missouri. Not only Jabari Brown averaging close to 20 points per game, but Jordan Clarkson averaging just under 18 a game. Ernest Ross averages 13.7 points per game. These are 2 teams that can go up and down and score the ball. This could easily be a game that gets into the 80s.
Absolutely. Davidson, one of the better perimeter jump shooting teams in the country. They want to spread you out and knock down jumpers. And then Missouri has one of the better backcourts in the country.
First bucket of the game, a little jump hook from Jordan Clarkson. And these big guards at 6'5" across the board, they could post up all night.
Yeah, and speaking with the Davidson staff, that was a concern coming in. They have big guards. They're not used to seeing that in the Southern Conference.
Karapovitz tried to track down his own fumble near midcourt, almost got it back from Jonathan Williams, and they will rule that it is out off Williams. And now the officials will gather, and they'll change the call and give it to Mizzou.
Well, Bob, you have to be pleased if you're Missouri. Actually, both teams, how they've come out. The intensity is there. And we talked about this. It's the NIT. Obviously, both teams are disappointed they're not in the NCAA tournament. But you want to see the energy there.
Jabari Brown with post moves, a force. This is everything. And that's actually saved off of the leg of Brian Sullivan. So that will be still Missouri basketball with 27 to shoot. Long one to the backcourt, tracked down by Williams. Jonathan Williams, only a freshman. Jordan Clarkson and Jabari Brown, only juniors, but they've got decisions to make about whether or not the NBA is their next step after this season. Here's Brown. Turns the corner, lost it out of bounds.
And that's the area you talked about Jabari Brown's game, decision-making. Athleticism, the ability to score the ball, that is there. But he's going to have to improve upon making better decisions with the ball from the point guard position.
From the corner, it's Brooks. Clarkson, a mid-range jumper that's a little too strong. Kalinowski will drive and finish, and that gets Davidson on the board.
That's a beautiful move in transition off of a miss. Missouri slow to get back in transition, and Davidson made him pay.
Ernest Ross with a reverse, and he draws the foul.
And Bob, early on, you can see both teams want to get out, push the ball in transition. 2 points now, but I do believe this game is going to be a high-scoring affair. Both teams are very efficient on offense.
Damon Brooks called for the foul. We talked to Bob McKillop earlier today, and he specifically mentioned their semifinal loss in the Southern Conference tournament, 99-97 in overtime to Western Carolina. You'd think an overtime game that got close to 100 would have been decided late. He thought Damon Brooks being called for his first foul early in the game, only a minute or so into the game, might have been the biggest moment of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in any sport, you look at how you open a game up, it sets the tone, basically took the air out of him, speaking with him, and he believes it cost him, and I happen to agree with him.
Brooks, a little jumper goes.
Bob, he is so efficient around the basket. That's a beautiful jump hook. He's a guy shooting close to 60% from the floor. And as this game goes on, Missouri is going to have to think about double teaming him if he continues to score that easy.
A steal. Here's Kalinoski. Works his way to the goal, scoops it up and in. He's got 4 of Davidson's 6. Back the other way, Brown. Knocks down a 3. Tom Droney leaves one behind the back for Brooks. Thought about a 3, drives it instead. And the rebound is pulled down by Torrin Jones. Not wasting any time, Ernest Ross hits the jumper.
Well, we keep going at this pace, Bob. We're going to get to 100 maybe before the first half. I mean, my goodness, not much defense by either teams, and it's just too easy right now. Uncontested jumpers, and that time right there, Demond Brooks, an uncontested dunk, no help.
Jonathan Williams' turn. He can't get it to fall. Brooks hit on the arm plus the foul. Torrin Jones got him on the elbow, and it's a chance for a 3-point play for Demond Brooks.
Well, in the open, I called him a matchup nightmare. Now, what's happening, Bob, he's catching the ball too deep in the post, and that's just lazy defense right there. You're slapping at the ball. You got to get up and crowd him, force him to his right hand. Right now, though, Demond Brooks is having his way in the low post.
He's played 26 games this season, missed 6 games with a groin injury suffered against Clemson back before the new year. And of the 26 games he played this year, in double figures 24 times, 5 double-doubles, and averaged almost 21 points a game in Southern Conference competition, hence the Player of the Year award. And now a whistle and a foul away from the ball. That goes against Ryan Rosberg of Mizzou, so it goes back over to Davidson.
Bob, where both of these teams have struggled has not been on offense. Both teams really have struggled defensively, picking up fouls early, not defending the perimeter or paint. If they can ever tighten those areas of the game up, the defensive side, they're very good, both teams offensively.
Getting it to go inside with the left hand is Jake Belfort. And it's a 4-point Davidson lead, 10 of their 12 in the paint. That mid-range jumper rattled home for Jordan Clarkson. Sharapovitz spins, fades away, just too strong. And a good job getting positioned by Brian Sullivan at midcourt. Frank Cave can't believe it, but Jabari Brown called for traveling. What'd you think?
It's tough. It's such a questionable call. It's bang, bang. I don't think he gave him enough time or space to come down with the ball and make a basketball move.
So 15:34 to go in the first half. Davidson with a 2-point lead. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee. NIT first-round play here at Mizzou. Mark Jones, thanks very much. It's a 2-point game. Back and forth we go as Davidson and Missouri are underway. 15.5 minutes to go in the first half of our game. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee. This is a game with the pace of play between these two teams that could easily get into the 80s. You said while we were starting our broadcast that you've already seen the intensity from both of these teams, that it means something that their seasons are still alive here in the NIT.
And that's the concern coming into the NIT. Obviously, you're disappointed that you're not in the NCAA field tournament. Both coaches speaking with them in shoot-around, they wanted to see the intensity early on in this game. I have to say check mark for both teams. They're getting after it.
And there's some stars out tonight as we take a look at our one-on-one. We've got the Southern Conference Player of the Year, Damon Brooks. He's already off to a good start in this game.
In his career, he's already over 1,700 points, over 750 boards. He is a matchup nightmare. He can score in a variety of ways. Damon Brooks, the Southern Conference Player of the Year. And then for Missouri, they're led by Jabari Brown. He led the SEC in scoring. He is a guard that can score in a variety of ways. Bob, he is going to be playing for a paycheck at the next level.
This is the Minnesota region. The championship comes up on April 3rd on ESPN. So these are the 8 teams that are fighting to get to Madison Square Garden. Southern Miss and Toledo, they play tomorrow night. So the winner of our game advances to round number 2 to meet the winner of that game. Davidson averages close to 79 points per game. Missouri averages almost 73 points per game. We anticipated that this would be a high-paced game, and these two teams have already gotten up and down the floor as they have 16 shot attempts between the two of them, and we've only played 4.5 minutes.
Well, the problem for both these teams has not been offense at all. You can see Davidson, they continue to run their offense perfectly. The issue has been defensively. They've been unable to get stops throughout the course of this season.
That 3 goes down for Brian Sullivan. He shoots it from 39% from behind the arc.
I was joking with Coach McCalk about Sullivan, and I said, Coach, I wish I was able to shoot that many threes. He's shot close to 300 three-pointers on the season, and he's shooting at a high percentage, so why not?
Shot clock to 5. A rainbow jumper is an air ball, and it goes out of bounds. That'll be a shot clock violation over to Davidson anyway, as Danny Feldman missed everything. Frank Haith, first Missouri coach to win 20 or more games in each of his first 3 years. He took the Tigers to the NCAA tournament each of the last 2 years, but they've lost some terrific players. And Jabari Brown really took it personally that they didn't make the tournament this year. Yeah, it was really difficult for him, and that goes back to that NIT mentality. You got to take it as a stepping stone, something you can build upon for next season. Kalinowski from the corner. That won't go. And the rebound eventually tapped to Danny Feldman. Jabari Brown creates some space and knocks it down.
Bob, they're going to have to think about double teaming him or get the ball out of his hands. Right now, it's just too easy for him. Step back jumpers, NBA range. He is a difficult matchup on the perimeter.
Cherapovits, a floater that rolls home. Chris Cherapovits, the senior from Sweden, is able to knock one down. Jabari Brown on fire to start the game. He answers.
Well, you can see why he led the SEC in scoring. Step back jumpers, he's got great size.
That 3 rolls off for Sullivan. Offensive rebound, Cherapovits. He'll try a 3. No, how about the up fake? Go to the basket instead. Old school pass out to Sullivan for 3. And running it down, Kalinowski.
Right now, Missouri is in a 1-2-2 zone.
Kalinowski forces one. Some contact, no call. The bank shot won't go for Ross, but it stays with Mizzou.
And Bob, that's not a good decision by Ross. Jabari Brown has scored pretty much every time he's touched the ball. Go to what's working for you. You get an offensive rebound, kick the ball out. If it's a layup, that's fine. Otherwise, run your offense, and everything should go through Jabari Brown.
All the starters back in the game now for Missouri as Jordan Clarkson comes back on, as does Jonathan Williams. So the 3 dangerous guards for Missouri all on the floor now. Clarkson, Jabari Brown, and Ernest Ross. Here's Clarkson, floater, in and out. Tapped around, the rebound pulled down by the sophomore Jordan Barham. Loose ball, and saving it in the corner is Jonathan Williams. Jabari Brown, tough shot. He gets it to go, plus the foul. So a chance for a three-point play as Jabari Brown continues to carry the Tigers.
Well, I tell you what, he's about as impressive guard that you're going to find in the nation. He's got great size. And then right here, this is the reason why he's going to play at the next level. He's got his ability to take the hit and finish in the lane.
Junior transfer from Oregon. He scored 12 total points in 2 games at Oregon and then transferred to Missouri, where he's now over 1,000 points in only 2 years for the Tigers, still with a year of eligibility if he comes back for his senior season.
I think that move worked out pretty well for him and Missouri.
Bad wraparound pass. Brian Sullivan turns it over. Way outside, it's Ernest Ross. That's off the mark. Droney, bump, no call. And the bank shot won't go. Fouled again, Jabari Brown on the drive. For those of you who are watching on ESPN Classic, we'll send you back to Who's Number. But you continue watching our game on ESPN2. We'd be happy if you came along in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Subway. Introducing the new crispy cheesy flat pizza from Subway. Now get 2 for $5. Subway. Eat fresh.
Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee back in Missouri. First round of the NIT. Davidson against Mizzou and Jabari Brown. First team All-SEC, and we're finding out why.
Well, he is impressive. Step back jumpers. He is a guy that can take the hit. I love his control, body control. He's able to step back, square his body up. And this is a pretty big defender right here. He's so strong going to the hole. He has the ability to take the hit and finish.
He has scored Missouri's last 7, and he's playing with a heavy heart as well.
Yeah, he really is. His dad is battling cancer right now. I had a wonderful time speaking with this young man at shoot-around today, dealing with a lot, dealing with that situation, speaking with Coach Haith. The team has rallied around him. This is something, obviously, that's bigger than basketball when you have a family member going through a situation like he is dealing with. And he has responded. He is a mature young man, and our prayers go out to him and his family.
As Father David watching, hopefully back in Oakland. That's where Jabari Brown is from, back in Oakland, California. Began his career at Oregon, but then transferred here to Missouri. And he said, you know, his dad was not feeling very well yesterday. He wasn't even sure if he's going to be able to watch the game tonight. But if he is, Jabari Brown wanted to make sure that his dad, David, knew he was thinking about it.
Well, David, I have to say you've done a fine job with that young man right there. The future is very bright for him.
Barham forces it through a double team and scores.
Well, Bob, both teams right now not putting up much resistance on defense. Missouri needs to do a better job forcing Davidson into more difficult shots. They're just getting high percentage shots because Missouri really is just having breakdowns on defense.
Clarkson one-on-one against Sullivan. Comes up short, but there to clean it up is Torrin Jones.
Great work, but poor job of rebounding by Davidson. Again, too easy.
Both teams are 50% from the field, to your point. And a back tap by Cherapovitz into the backcourt, so it stays alive with Brian Sullivan and Davidson, a fresh 35. Cherapovitz tried to find Brooks. Brooks misses point-blank range. Clarkson got caught in midair. Good hands again by Brian Sullivan to help create the turnover. Sullivan for three. In and out. Trying to track it down in the corner and knocking it out of bounds was Damon Brooks, so it goes over to Mizzou.
Well, that time Missouri caught a break. Brian Sullivan is the one guy for Davidson you cannot leave open. He's close to 40% from the three-point line. I talked about in the tip, he's taken close to 250 threes on the season.
Davidson now showing zone. And Clarkson has to call timeout. Missouri standing still against the zone. Looked like they were surprised at the coaching maneuver by Bob McKillop, so Frank Haith's team needs to talk things over. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back. The 2014 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship tips off Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, ESPN3, and Watch ESPN. Catch every moment of the tournament on the ESPN family of networks. You can find information on every championship at ncaa.com, the home of all 89 championships. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee here at Mizzou Arena. 8 to shoot for the Tigers. Down to 5 to shoot. Jordan Clarkson's going to have to go one-on-one. Drives with the left hand. Comes up short. And Droney has the rebound.
Missouri took too long to get into their offense and were forced to shoot a contested runner in the lane and then back on the other. And Davidson transitioning. And that was a concern of Coach Haith coming into this game. How they defended the three-point line against Davidson.
Belford hit the three. I'm not sure if you heard anything. I didn't.
You got to call glass on that one.
I just said I didn't hear anything.
You got to call glass. I mean, straight away, we're going to give him a break on the first one, but the second one, he better call glass.
Just aim for the square and shoot it hard, son. Cherapovitz tries a three. That one goes down. Another three for Davidson. They average over 9 made threes per game in Southern Conference play. That was #1 in their league.
If you do not crowd Davidson on the three-point line, they will put on a clinic. They spread you, penetrate, and then they will kick it out to wide-open shooters.
Ernest Ross leans in, out of control, blocking foul call. So Droney picks up his second.
Well, Davidson is known for their three-point shooting. They come out in the first half on fire.
Four-point game. Davidson on top of Missouri. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee. It is the first round of the NIT here at Mizzou Arena. Under 8 minutes to go. Davidson began the game 1 for 8 from three-point land, but they've made their last 2, and that's helped them open up a lead.
Yeah, and they are a team that wants to shoot the three, whether it's in their sets or in transition. Speaking with Coach Tate of Missouri, he said that was going to be a key part of this game, how they defended the three-point line against Davidson.
Day 2 of the NIT tomorrow night on ESPN2. First at 7, the Fighting Illini will take on Boston U. And then at 9, UC Irvine faces Larry Brown's Mustangs. They're a #1 seed in the NIT, left out of the big dance. The first round of the NIT tomorrow night on ESPN2. Both games also live on Watch ESPN. And was that not the biggest topic of conversation? Not just the teams that were left out of the American Conference, but also what happened with the seeds of the team from the American Conference in the NCAA tournament, most notably Louisville as a 4 seed.
Somebody is always going to be happy, and I've listened to so many different people talk about that. I have an opinion on it. At the end of the day, the committee has a terrible job in terms of...
What's your opinion on it?
My opinion on it is that I think Louisville does not fit a #4 seed. That's my take on it. I had them early on in the season at the Hall of Fame Classic at Mohegan Sun. They lost to North Carolina, but I tell you right now, if you poll every coach in the NCAA and they tell you top 10 who you do not want to see in the tournament, Louisville is one I guarantee you will be on that list.
I'm going to play devil's advocate when I get a chance here. Instead, it's Damon Brooks. Don't want to take anything away from his performance. He already has 8 of Davidson's 27.
He is so efficient. We talked about close to 60% from the floor. Southern Conference Player of the Year.
And a turnover by Missouri. I'm going to give the committee just a little bit of quick love. Louisville plays in a conference of 10 teams. The top 5 teams in the conference are legit. There is such a drop-off to the last 5 teams in that conference that their wins are going to hurt their resume, because Houston is the next best team in the American Athletic Conference, and their BPI, at least in our ratings, was somewhere between 160 and 170 for most of the season. Getting the roll again is Damon Brooks. So to me, I hear everyone talks over and over again about the eye test. it shouldn't be about the eye test. It should be about what have you done, who have you beaten. And if your resume says 4 seed, why is that a problem? That a better team ability-wise, as Rosberg throws it down, ends up as a 4, then maybe the eye test suggests they should.
Well, my last point on that is, you look at Wichita State, the argument on them is they don't play anybody. During the course of the year, you look at their 1 win against St. Louis early, but I tell you what, I look at Wichita State, there's nothing mid about them whatsoever, and you can't penalize them for being in their conference.
A tie-up, and a foul will be called on Jonathan Williams. Well, speaking of playing an NCAA tournament resume-type schedule, that's what Davidson does every year. Bob McKilloch's team started off the season at 4-10. Their losses among those 10 to Duke, Milwaukee, a team we just saw in the Horizon League championship game. They're in the tournament. Virginia, a 1 seed. New Mexico in the tournament. North Carolina, of course, the tournament. And Wichita State, a 1 seed. So that among the start of the schedule for Bob McKilloch's Wildcats.
He is one of the best teachers of the game in the history of basketball. And I know some people may say, well, wow, that's a big statement. I'll tell you what, he is that good. You watch him operate in practice. You watch him operate in shoot around. He is one of the best.
Jabari Brown a little slow to get up as he will go to the free throw line. It was a 20-win season for Davidson. They were the #1 seed in the Southern Conference. They went 15-1, so they get the automatic bid to the NIT. But what a difficult loss to stomach when you lose in overtime, 97-95, in your conference tournament semifinal game. Don't even make the championship game.
Yeah, and it's a similar situation to Green Bay out of the Horizon League. I had a chance to cover them all year throughout the course of the Horizon, similar to what Davidson did, 15-1 Davidson in their conference play. And then you have a bad weekend, and I think that's a shame. That's another debate that we can have. I really believe, Bob, if you win your conference league outright during the course of the season, you should be rewarded with an NCAA berth.
Good hustle by Jonathan Williams, draws the foul on Jake Belford. Davidson with 6 fouls here in the first half, and Missouri with only 3 team fouls.
Bob, I would like to see them get Jabari Brown touches. There have been a couple of times now for Missouri where he's not even getting a look. Go through him, he's shooting a high percentage, let him go to work and then play off of him.
He throws it to post instead, and now it's back to Jabari Brown. Clarkson off the glass. Takeaway, trying to run it down was Ernest Ross, and he eventually ends up with the loose ball. Feeds Brown for the finish. Wing jumper for Kalinowski. Buries another 3, the 4th of the game for Davidson.
Bob, that's going to determine the outcome of this game. Missouri, early on in this first half, has done a poor job defending the arc against Davidson. On the other end, Jabari Brown has been impressive.
Offensive foul called on Jordan Clarkson. That's his first and the 4th team foul against Missouri.
And Bob, again, Missouri just not good with offense. Jabari Brown has 12 points. He's 4 of 6 from the field. That's a high percentage. You need to continue to go through him. Davidson has not decided, 15 points now. Davidson is not double teaming him. Just continue to feed him, play through him, and let him go to work.
Called again on Jonathan Williams. And that will put Damon Brooks at the free throw line as Williams, the freshman, picks up his 2nd.
But Damon Brooks is such a difficult matchup. You look at his free throw numbers. He's taken 195 free throws coming into this game, 73%. And speaking with Coach McKill, he's such a matchup problem because he's an undersized big. He goes about 6'4", 6'5", but he's playing sometimes the 3, 4, and 5 position. And in the Southern Conference, there's nobody that can guard him.
You see the numbers he put up. The only player in Division I over 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 59% from the field. A 6'7" post player. You wonder about where he goes at the next level. Could he be a role player at the NBA level?
The only problem he will have is he does not shoot the ball beyond the three-point line. So really, he's about 10 to 15 feet. It's awfully tough not to shoot the ball. You look at guys like Big Baby, Glenn Davis, that made a career for himself at the next level. He can step out and shoot the ball beyond the college three-point line. So that's an area that he's going to have to work at if he wants to play at the next level. But overseas, I can see him getting with the right team and playing overseas somewhere.
Kalinowski dribbled it off his knee. So we've reached the Under 4 TV timeout. 5-point lead for Davidson. Bob McKillop's team trying to keep their season alive here in the first round of the NIT at Missouri.
Jamie Sire in studio coming up on the halftime report alongside Miles Simon. Robert Morris does it again. Last year they knocked off the 1 seed in the NIT at Kentucky. Last year, this year, St. John's, also West Virginia and Georgetown. We'll have those highlights coming up. Bob and Malcolm, back to you.
All right, Jamie, thanks very much. 5-point lead for Davidson over Missouri, first round of the NIT. And in case you're looking for others that this game is very important to, how about Stephen Curry and Kim English? Stephen Curry, of course, to Davidson. Kim English went to Missouri. They went back and forth on Twitter. Stephen Curry, I'm going to bet on this game. Kim English, if Mizzou wins, you not only have to donate $400 to the Tiger Scholarship Fund, but Stephen Curry would have to change his avatar to Kim English for 24 hours. Stephen Curry said, not only does that sound good, let's do it, but it's the same in reverse. So whichever team wins the game, the other's Twitter avatar changes to the losing player's icon for 24 hours.
Well, I got to stop it right there, though. Come on, Stefan Curry. $400?
Yeah, you had another
Come on, man. I mean, 400. Me and you can do $400. The type of money he's making, come on.
I'm not quite at the Malcolm Huckabee analyst rate yet. Ernest Ross maneuvers inside, but maybe if the good news is BC's never going to play BC, so I'm not going to be put in that position with you.
But I love it, though. I love the banter back and forth. And certainly this is a great time of the year for a lot of the pro players, too, following their former schools.
Terapovitz comes up short on the offensive glass. Andrew McAuliffe kept it alive. And Sullivan now sets to Kalinowski.
Right now, Bob, Missouri is just getting out-hustled to every loose ball by Davidson.
On the baseline, Sullivan. That's another offensive rebound. And the stick up and in is good for Andrew McAuliffe. And that is now 6 offensive rebounds here in the first half for the undersized Davidson Wildcats.
And that's this effort, as I talked about. That comes down to putting a body on another body, boxing out, hustling for every loose ball and offensive rebound.
Knifing through and a nice finish on the reverse by Jordan Clarkson. McAuliffe, only a freshman. Wide open underneath. Jake Belford almost surprised that there were no Missouri Tigers around him. It looked like he caught the ball and started to look for a defender.
Well, because Missouri is short-handed tonight, they're forced to play some zone and really out of position.
Nice bank shot by Jabari Brown.
Well, Bob, we like to compare the guys to who do they remind you of? Jabari Brown reminds me so much of Dwayne Wade back in his college days, where he's really not a point guard. He's a combo guard. He's so strong. He's really not a great three-point shooter, but he can knock it down. But his mid-range game is lethal.
Well, he was #1 in the SEC in scoring, close to 20 points per game. #7 overall in field goal percentage at 47%. #3 in the SEC shooting the three at 41%. So he can step outside, step inside, you're right. And when you look at his overall game, what impresses you most?
Well, his strength. And that's why I said he reminds me a little bit of Dwayne Wade, where he's a guy that has the ability to get into the lane, take the hit, and then finish. And then right here, this is what makes him special. In the open court, like Dwayne Wade, he is a monster going to the basket.
We talked to Frank Haith earlier today, not only about Jabari Brown, but about his backcourt mate. There's Jordan Clarkson. Those two are only juniors. And he mentioned that he expected both to send their paperwork in to that NBA advisory committee as a foul is called on Jabari Brown to see where both would be projected as draft choices. And it almost sounded from Frank Haith talking to us, I'm not sure if you got the same opinion, that he thinks it's about 50-50 that those two players come back to Missouri for their senior year.
Yeah, and it's similar. I asked him about the conversation that he had with Phil Pressey, who wound up going to the NBA, playing now for the Boston Celtics. Look, every situation is different. We talked about Jabari Brown, the unfortunate situation with his dad battling cancer. There's so many different things that go into it, financial situations, family situations. So it's a difficult decision, but I'll tell you what, right now, Jabari Brown physically is ready to go to the next level.
How about Clarkson? He's got the ball here.
I think with his game, I think he could use another year, only because I think physically he is not the same as Jabari Brown. I think physically he's not as strong. He's a guy that has some quickness, some athleticism. I think his decision-making needs to get better.
And Clarkson's a transfer from Tulsa, where he played off the ball. Now he's a point guard, and maybe that's what he projects as to the NBA here at Missouri, and he might really benefit from another year of playing big-time college basketball at the point position. See what he decides to do. As Davidson has it back with a three-point lead. Damon Brooks hands it right back, though, as Feldman is called for steps at one end. Damon Brooks shuffles his feet at the other.
That was a better job that time, Missouri, forcing Damon Brooks out. Early in the first half, he was catching the ball deep in the post, where you have no chance whatsoever of stopping him.
About a 3.5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Sullivan trying to pester Jordan Clarkson into speeding up. 13 to shoot. And now Missouri will run their offense. Here's Jabari Brown. Turns the corner, spins down the lane, off the glass, no good. But the putback is there for Feldman. Still time on the clock. Kalinowski is a terrific three-point shooter. Off to Cherapovitz. He beats the buzzer. A three goes down at the horn for Davidson. And it's a 4-point lead for the Wildcats at halftime.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. Davidson is one of those teams that if you give them any space on the perimeter, they will make you pay. They put on a clinic offensively in transition and out of their sets in the first half.
How about the patience for Cherapovitz to allow the flyby, knowing he had the time?
And that's a 6'7" forward right there. Good patience, poise, as you talked about. Got his body squared. Knocked down another three for Davidson.
A very entertaining first half. The winner moves on in the Minnesota bracket. Right now it's Jamie Sire and Miles Simon back in our college basketball studios with the halftime report.
Thank you, gentlemen. And some other action from this evening. St. John's taking on Robert Morris. And remember, Robert Morris beat Kentucky last year in the first round of the NIT as an 8th seed. And they were up big early on in this one, Miles.
Well, Jakar Sampson, one of St. John's best players, loses his composure here. First of all, he fouls the three-point shooter. Then he wants to put a chokehold like he's in the WWE against Lucky Jones.
Yeah, both players would be issued technical fouls, so this one a little chippy early on. Second half, Robert Morris up 8. Carville Anderson knocking down the three. He had 38 points, 9 of 15 from beyond the arc. 9 three-pointers, again, for him was a career high. So looking at the bracket, they will take on the winner of Green Bay and Belmont. That game going on right now. It is a 10-point game over on ESPN3. Welcome into our college basketball studios. I'm Jamie Sire alongside Miles Simon, and NIT action right here on the ESPN networks, but also NCAA tournament action getting underway tonight. And a look at those two games, one of them already in the books. Albany, 71-64 over Mount St. Mary's, and this one was a little lopsided early on, and then it kind of evened out, Miles.
Yeah, Albany jumped out to a 21-2 lead, but Mount St. Mary's plays that mayhem defense. They shot 37 threes of their 60 field goal attempts, but Albany moves on to play Florida and NC State. That action going on right now. TJ Warren picked up 2 early fouls, but has come back strong with 7 points.
We are just getting warmed up here on our halftime report. Coming up, more NIT highlights, including West Virginia and Georgetown. That game you saw over on ESPN. Jamie and Miles back with you on the halftime report. Arkansas and Indiana State. Early in the first half, Arkansas up 3. Antoine Bell knocking down the 3. Arkansas up 6, Miles, and he was doing a lot of this tonight.
Well, Antoine Bell just carrying this team, 4 for 6 from behind the arc, 18 points in the first half for this young man. Got to find him in the zone. They're just leaving him.
Absolutely. When you're hot, keep getting him the ball. Arkansas up 37-31 at the half. You take a look at these brackets. SMU will play tomorrow, 9 p.m. on ESPN2.
UC Irvine has a special player, Mamadou Ndiaye, the tallest player in Division I, 7'6".
Wow, that is very tall. That's about 2 feet taller than I am. So how about West Virginia and Georgetown? Pick it up in the second half. Georgetown up 2. And Markel Starks, the dish to Mikhail Hopkins for the lay-in as the Hoyas take a 4-point lead. And Starks continuing to find his teammates, Miles.
Well, Markel Starks did a great job of distributing tonight, 6 assists. Finds Jabril Trawick in the corner for the open 3-point shot. And Georgetown just dominated in the second half. They were down by 3 at the break. And Devontae Smith-Rivera with a career night, 32 points, 11 rebounds.
1 point shy of his career high. They will play the winner of this one, Florida Gulf Coast and Florida State. Aaron Thomas driving, and a monster one-handed slam there. He had 22 points, his 5th 20-point game of the season. That's a career high. And then later, Monte Brandon misses the leaner, but Kara White there for the putback.
Well, the thing that we're going to miss now is Florida Gulf Coast. If they would have won this game, would have had a chance to play the Georgetown Hoyas again. Not in the NCAA, but the NIT this year. But Florida State moves on, 20th win of the season for Leonard Hamilton's squad.
And as you mentioned, you see it right there. Florida State and Georgetown will meet in the second round on this side of the bracket. Number 1 seed Minnesota hosting High Point. First half, High Point down 3. On the break, Darrell Edwards throwing it to John Brown for the alley-oop. Getting up over the defender there. High Point down 1. Later in the first, Minnesota up 35-29. Joey King, the inbounds and the 3. And Minnesota up at halftime, Miles.
Well, Minnesota, the Hollins boys are struggling from the field, but Maurice Walker, 13 points off the bench, providing a spark for the Gophers.
And this is how that bracket looks right now. Nobody set as of now. We've got a couple of games at halftime or in the second half. And one of those coming up tomorrow. We've got another one coming up tonight here on ESPN2. More halftime report right after this. Back here in studio, Jamie Sire and Miles Simon off the elevator. Georgia State getting ready for their game against Clemson. First half, Clemson on the break. Rod Hall to KJ McDaniels for the dunk. Clemson up 7, but Georgia State came back, took the lead on free throws. Ryan Harrow, a nice crossover move, gets to the basket, hits the land. He was coming off a great game.
Well, what a nice bounce back year for Ryan Harrow after struggling in the Kentucky Wildcat uniforms. But that guy, KJ McDaniels, one of the best players in the ACC, 17 points in the first half.
That's a 3-point game at the half. ESPN's loss is Auburn's gain. The Tigers have hired Bruce Pearl to coach their men's basketball team. Of course, in 2011, he was fired by Tennessee in the wake of an NCAA investigation. But you can see everybody is super excited to have them there. They are certainly lucky. On to the NBA, Heat and Cavs. And, boy, LeBron James, he was coming up, second half. Davidson up 4, Jabari Brown 17 points.
Just about set for the start of the second half. The National Invitation Tournament here at Missouri. And it's a 4-point lead for the Southern Conference regular season champions, Davidson. Here at Mizzou, Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee set for the start of the second half. The intensity was there. Teams went up and down the floor, but talking to you during halftime, not overly impressed with the ability to defend the perimeter by Missouri.
Yeah, and that's been the story of the first half. In transition and out of their sets, Missouri has done a poor job defending Davidson on the perimeter. You're going to take a look here, off of a miss, and then you have 5 guys sprinting back, but then nobody picks up the perimeter shooters. Now, we talked about you need to call bank from right there, but then again, Davidson swings the ball around. You don't get a hand up on the shooter, and then they make you pay. And then for Missouri, it's been all about this guy right here. Jabari Brown has been impressive in transition right here. He is so strong. He can finish. And then right here is the reason why he's going to be playing for a paycheck. Reminds me of Dwayne Wade, his ability to control his body and then finish with floaters in the lane.
Well, most of Jabari Brown's damage done in the first half in that mid-range area. And something that was equally impressive, how about points in the paint? Did you see Davidson with 20 points in the paint and 6 offensive rebounds in the first half coming? Here's Kalinowski for 3. He hits it. 46% from outside the arc during the regular season. Second best in the Southern Conference, and that's his second of the night.
Well, if they continue to allow Davidson to get that much airspace, they're going to continue to knock down shots, and Missouri's going to lose this game. You cannot allow three-point shooters to have that much space. You got to crowd them, get up on them, and then force them to drive the ball through the hole.
This is the largest lead for the Wildcats. Williams trying to escape a double team with 5 to shoot, launches a 3 and rims it out. Great defense by Davidson. Brooks, strong move across the lane.
And that's what he brings. Southern Conference Player of the Year. When he's got a big on him, he's so quick, so agile. His first step is quick, and then he's got that sweeping right and lefty hook.
Jabari Brown with the scoop. He's already up to his per-game average. Brooks hit, can't finish, but he'll go to the line. As we take a look at some of our first half statistics, 5 of 15 as a team from three-point land for Davidson. And already Damon Brooks is closing in on another double-double.
Impressive. You look on the other side, it's all been Jabari Brown on the offense for them. 19 points, as you talked about. I think the big issue for them as this game goes on, they need to tighten up their perimeter defense.
To this point, would it be taking something away from Davidson's performance to say that this is a Missouri team that, intensity-wise, was hoping for the tournament a few weeks ago? Now they're at home in the NIT, and you've got the smaller conference team coming in here looking to prove something. Has that been a theme to you in this game?
No, I think Davidson is good. I think, though, the real issue has been Missouri's poor execution in terms of defending the arc, and that was something, speaking with Coach Hayes, that was a concern for him, defending how they would defend Davidson on the perimeter.
Brown just comes up short on that drive. So this isn't an intensity issue from Missouri as far as you're concerned.
No, I think it's breakdown. You cannot allow them to get wide open space. You got to chase them off the screens, as you're seeing they're doing right here. But then when they get the ball down low to this man, Damon Brooks, you cannot allow him to cross court like he just did, or out of double teams, find open shooters.
Foul called on Cherapovitz on the push. That's his first. First team foul called on Davidson here in the second half. And also, this is a Missouri team that is playing short-handed without Wes Clark and without Shane Rector.
Short-handed, and that's the reason why they've played zone a couple of possessions. They've gone back, so that's going to be an issue as this game goes on as well, too.
Shovel underneath, and the throwdown. Piano Post is able to flush it. And that helps get the Missouri crowd back in it. But an easy driving lane and a chance for a three-point play for Tom Droney at the other end.
Well, on offense, Jordan Clarkson made a nice move, but then no help or hedge on the ball screen. And then you just allow a guy to get down the lane, uncontested layup. You're forced to reach over his head, and he's got an and-one situation.
Brown got fancy with the dribble and lost it. 2-on-1, then Droney fumbled the pass from Cherapovitz. Instead, it ends up with a trailing 3 by Kalinowski. A near turnover for Davidson turns into a triple and a 13-point lead. Frank Haith wants to talk things over, and we'll step aside for just a moment. The Wildcats knocking down threes. It's a 13-point lead for Davidson. Missouri playing without some of their role players. Wes Clark and Shane Rector, two backup guards, both on the bench. They were arrested on Saturday, according to Columbia police, on suspicion of marijuana possession. Tony Criswell, first man off the bench, averages about 4 points a game. Senior power forward has been suspended since the start of the SEC tournament as well. So this is basically a seven-man team that Missouri's trying to play with, and Davidson has kept the pace up.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do if you're Davidson, and it's a concern if you're Coach Haith in Missouri.
Jabari Brown, another floater, and he is over 20 for the 19th time this season. Brooks gets his man in the air. Right back out to Kalinowski. But a whistle stops play. And it looks like they're going to call goaltending and count the bucket by Brooks.
And it's not a good play. That ball had no chance of going in. And even if you're going to block it, keep possession of it. Don't punch it back out to a Davidson player.
Foul called on Kalinowski. So let's take another look.
And this ball is not going to go in. That's going to be an air ball. So if you're going to do anything, just let it come down to you and catch it. So many times guys want to wind up on SportsCenter for a block. And that's the reason why I like the great Bill Russell. He would block a shot and then keep it possession for his team.
For a ball, though, that's going to fall clearly about 2 feet short of the rim. Should you have called goaltending there? Up and in, and a chance for a three-point play for Torrin Jones. Or where is it at the discretion of the official to say, that ball has no chance to go in, maybe it shouldn't be goaltending?
Yeah, and I agree with you on that right now. But early on, in the second half, Davidson is continuing their hot shooting.
A flashback to the good old days with Malcolm when we come back. Welcome back. First round coverage of the NIT. Let's flash back all the way to March of 1993. Boston College and Providence in the NIT. Howard Isley with the steal. And look who's coming off the screen with the kid and play high top fade.
Wow.
That's Malcolm Huckabee from the corner. Not only did he have a hairdo, he had hair all the way back then, right around about the time that motion pictures were invented.
I'm putting that one on you right there. You went back. I had the high top kid and play fade. I can't get away with that right now, but some great memories. And we talked about the mindset of going into the NIT. I remember that we were very disappointed that we did not get into the NCAA tournament. And our coaches tried to preach to us in terms of using this as a springboard for the next season. Now, obviously, we didn't like the result of that, but that next year we went on to the Elite Eight, knocking off North Carolina, Indiana, and then we bowed out to Florida a game before the Final Four. And, you know, speaking with both coaches, that's something that they talk to their teams about. And you look at the history. Wichita State won this thing in 2011. Last year, Baylor wins it, and then they're in the NCAA tournament this year. So it's something that if you have the right mindset, you can use it as something good that happens next season for you.
Well, 3 teams that were in the NIT Final Four last year are in the tournament this year. Ernest Ross goes up, pulls down the rebound for Mizzou. Last year, BYU, Iowa, along with Baylor, all in the NIT Final Four at the Garden. Stepping on the end line was Ernest Ross, trying to keep it alive on the offensive glass. So it goes over to Davidson. I mean, it is, if you track it, a pretty good indicator. If you make it to Madison Square Garden and the semifinals of the NIT, there's a very good chance you're going to be a tournament team next year, if not a threat.
Absolutely, and you look at, obviously, for the seniors, the reverse of that as well, too. If you have seniors on your team, it's a chance for them to play more games, get exposure for guys that are thinking about playing at the next level or overseas. So there's certainly some good things that can come out of playing in the NIT.
Brooks missed the bunny. Torrin Jones the rebound. Jonathan Williams fouled. Damon Brooks called for the personal. That's his second. And the most storied conference in college athletics lives on a new 24/7 network launching in August. GetSECNetwork.com is where you need to go and demand the network from your TV provider today, as we are on the verge of the SEC network being a go-to spot if you're a fan of this conference in every sport, not just football, not just basketball, but across the board. Every sport will be covered. And we saw the effect that the SEC has already had on Missouri. Right now, just outside of Mizzou Arena, right across the street, they're doing an expansion project on the football stadium, adding about 5,000 to 7,000 seats, luxury boxes to their upper deck. They anticipate adding more seats to one of the closed end zones, and they'll have a capacity of over 80,000 by the time they're eventually done with both expansion projects.
Really an impressive facility that we've seen, both basketball and football. Back to the game, though, Davidson. Just too easy, Bob. I mean, they're getting everything that they want on offense. They're picking apart Missouri on defense.
That was the second time that Belfort has gotten lost underneath. And another rebound for Damon Brooks. Kalinowski left alone. Just a little too strong. Ross threw a double team. Tried to muscle one up, but another foul on Damon Brooks. That's his third. So now a bit of a decision for Bob McKillop to make. Do you leave your best player on the floor with 3, or do you try and buy some time with a double-digit lead?
Well, I think right now it depends on the player in these situations. A lot of guys are not good at playing with 3 and 4 fouls. Coach McKillop knows his players best, and he probably has dealt with this situation. So right now he's going to get him out of the game. And I think a big reason why, and I agree with this decision, is the way that they've executed on offense.
Plus, you've got the 10-point lead. So even if Missouri cuts into the lead, you might exchange some points for time with him on the bench.
Absolutely. Get him at rest, see where this thing goes, and if obviously Missouri goes on a run, you get him right back in the game immediately.
Well, let's mark the time. 14 and a half minutes to go in the game and an 11-point lead when Damon Brooks goes to the bench. And a turnover by Tyler Kalinowski.
I like the change by Coach Haith going to zone. He went to a matchup zone, and it confused Davidson on that last possession.
Only the Wildcats' 7th turnover.
Back to Coach Haith. I think he's underrated, obviously, as a coach. Now, he won Coach of the Year. He's done a great job with this program. First 2 seasons in the NCAA tournament. I think he's doing a great job developing this backcourt of his as well.
Traveling called on Ernest Ross. And Ross is the only senior from Missouri. So we talk about this Missouri team. If they can win this game, move on in the NIT, and Clarkson and Brown come back, they get everybody back except Ernest Ross. Clock under 10. Way outside, it's Sullivan. Rims it out. And without Damon Brooks on the floor, not only is the rebound pulled down by Jonathan Williams, but Cherapovitz called for a foul.
And that was a much better defensive possession by Missouri. They got out, chased Davidson off the three-point line, and then the result, Davidson shoots a contested NBA three. They finish the play with the rebound.
And not a smart foul by Cherapovitz because that's his 4th. So with Damon Brooks already on the bench, Andrew McAuliffe comes on. Clarkson. He turns it over. Another traveling call against Mizzou. That's their 11th turnover.
And Bob, the last 2 possessions, Jabari Brown, who's already over 20 points, has not touched the ball. If I'm Coach Haith, the next offensive possession, I'm pulling somebody out of the game if Jabari Brown does not get a touch.
3 on the way from Belfort. No good. Sailing in to try and keep it alive was the smallest player on the floor, Brian Sullivan, but he tipped it out.
Bob, back to Jabari Brown's number. 8 of 12 from the floor. High percentage. He's been unstoppable, and he's not getting touches on offensive possessions.
A flop, nothing doing as Droney tried to draw the foul. Here's Jordan Clarkson. Now it's Jabari Brown, and a foul called on Kalinowski. And that's team foul number 7 against Davidson, so it will be a 1-and-1 for Jabari Brown, who's an 80% free throw shooter. As someone over on the Missouri bench somehow tuned in Malcolm Huckabee.
I'm coachable.
It shows they're coachable.
Hey, I played with a guy, Billy Curley, one of the better bigs coming out of the Big East, 1st-round draft pick. And, you know, we had 3 guards that wanted to jack up threes. And I remember Coach O'Brien in our ear saying, hey, look, guys, you guys are shooting 2 for 20. Nobody shoots the ball until he gets us a touch. And I think that's what Missouri needs to do right now. He's shooting a high percentage. He's a guy, as you said, shoots the ball well from the free throw line. And Davidson has been unable to stop him. Let him get touches, and good things are going to happen.
McAuliffe out. And Barham back in. So a small lineup on the floor for Davidson, as if they weren't small enough. And a pair at the line for Frank Haith, who told us Jabari Brown was distraught about his team not making it to the tournament. Blamed it on himself. Thought it was his responsibility to will his team to the tournament, as if scoring 19.8 points per game in the SEC wasn't enough.
And that's what you want to see from your star player. And if I'm an NBA exec, GM, that's what you want. You want guys that care, they hate losing, they compete. And we talked about that young man, the struggles he's dealing with a family situation. His dad dealing with cancer, battling cancer. The team and Coach Haith rallying around him. So he is an impressive player, but an even more impressive young man. And that's what you love to see.
It's the 1st round of the NIT here at Missouri, and we've got some NIT headlines. Robert Morris survived a late flurry from St. John's and takes out the #1 seed in that region. 4 schools from the SEC are in the NIT. And 13 of the 32 teams were automatic qualifiers, which is pretty surprising because that's a lot of number 1 seeds in their respective conference tournaments that weren't able to win their conference tournament and go on to the NCAA tournament. Four guards and a forward on the floor for Davidson. 15 to shoot. Roney gives it up. Sullivan with 5 to shoot. Kalinowski allows the flyby, penetrates, tried to scoop it up, and it's a shot clock violation as Ryan Rosberg got the block. Now the officials will come together. Underneath the basket, it seemed as if it was Forrest Siegler, the near side official here in your picture, that signaled shot clock violation, but Don Daly came from midcourt. He might have a different call.
Yeah, and I don't think that touched the rim. I think it touched the backboard, the bottom of the backboard, and we're going to take another look at it right here. You can see the defensive intensity picked up by Missouri, and then, ooh, that should be a shot clock violation.
Well, what Don Daly signaled was that it was a held ball. Now, Bob McKillop, to me, gets the benefit of that call. The possession arrow goes to Missouri. Bob McKillop, I'm not sure what he's so upset about, because Don Daly basically said just before the shot clock violation, it's a jump ball.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Well, right here, the shot clock's winding down. Daly blows the whistle right about there when the ball was tied up. Now, in that picture, obviously, we couldn't see if there was a second left on the shot clock. Now the officials are going to go to the monitor.
And I think the big question is, it was 2 Davidson players holding on to the ball. There was no Missouri player involved with that to make it a jump ball situation. You're going to see the block right here. Doesn't touch the rim. And then the ball comes down. And then it's 2 Davidson players. So we're going to take a look at it from another angle. And then that's 2 Davidson players right there with the ball.
Well, Rosberg reached in.
Yeah, okay.
So he's tying the ball up, but it seemed like the shot clock went to 0 before Rosberg got his hands on the ball and created what would have been a held ball. So the officials are going to take a look at one of the replays that we just saw and make a determination. I guess what I'm confused about is Bob McKillop being upset. Either way, it's going to be Missouri ball. Either it's a shot clock violation or a held ball possession arrow. And rather than it being a shot clock violation, if you're Bob McKillop, you want it to be a held ball because you'd get the possession arrow back. But now they've changed it to the shot clock violation instead. So now for Missouri, they get the ball and they keep the arrow.
And now it's decision time for Coach McKillop. Damon Brooks has been on the bench. Missouri's going on a run. That lead now has shrunk to 7 when it was double digits when he went to the bench. I think you got to get him back into the game.
He's probably waiting for at least the under 12 timeout to happen. Ernest Ross, a chance for a 3-point play when we come back. It was an 11-point lead when Damon Brooks picked up his 3rd foul. Davidson hasn't scored since, and now Ross a chance to cut deeper into the lead.
Well, Ross with a grown man move, finishing with an and-one situation.
Jamie Sire in studio with an update. This game is over on ESPN right now. Arkansas and Indiana State were shot on Madden. Drive, a runner in the paint. Also, Minnesota moving on. They beat High Point by 7. Georgia State and Clemson. That game over on ESPNU, 57-49 in favor of the 3 seed. And coming up here on ESPN2 at 11 p.m. Eastern, St. Mary's and Utah. Stephen Holt getting ready to go. We'll have that game at the top of the hour here on ESPN2. So now back to Bob and Mel.
All right, Jamie, thanks very much. Well, already a couple of at least mild upsets in the NIT first round in the St. John's region. Robert Morris goes to St. John's and wins. So the 8 seed takes out the 1 seed. And you covered Green Bay all the way through the Horizon League tournament. They didn't even make it to the championship game. They were the #1 seed, and they bow out to Belmont.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that goes to the disappointment. You don't want to take anything away from these teams that are winning, but certainly St. John's, Green Bay, disappointed that they are not in the NCAA field.
And Damon Brooks still on the sideline for Bob McKillop's team with 3 fouls. 11:42 to go. As Ernest Ross can't complete the 3-point play, but the lead down to 5. Are you surprised that he didn't come back with Brooks after the TV timeout?
I am surprised. In particular, it's 3 fouls. He doesn't have 4 fouls, so certainly I don't think he'll be on there past the 10-minute mark.
Droney sets up Sullivan. No good. And again, without Damon Brooks in the game, an uncontested rebound for Ryan Rosberg. Floater from Brown. Foul called on Davidson. No, check that. It's going to go against Rosberg.
And one of the few floaters that Jabari Brown has missed.
3rd foul on Rosberg. Only the 3rd foul on Mizzou here in the second half. So they're in good shape foul-wise. Davidson's already over the limit. A 3 on the way from Droney. And there are the first points for Davidson since Damon Brooks went to the bench.
This game is all about defending the 3-point arc. On the other end, you look at Missouri. They've only taken 6 threes, shooting 16%. On the other end, Davidson has been lights out, close to 40% from the 3-point line.
Clarkson, blocking foul called on Droney. So that will put Jordan Clarkson at the free throw line. It's a 1-and-1, team foul number 9, and for Droney, that's his 3rd. So Jordan Clarkson, who was a midseason top 25 candidate for the Wooden Award, playing point guard after transferring from Tulsa, where he was a 2 guard. And as a scoring tandem, he and Jabari Brown average a little under 38 points per game. And that's the 5th highest tandem scoring pair in college basketball this year. So it's a lethal combination if they both come back, but can they become a better defensive team?
Yeah, and that's going to be the big concern. Also, they really don't have any interior presence. Now, you know those 2 guys are very good offensively, mid-range. I think both of them can improve their 3-point range. But Missouri, I think the big question mark for them is can they get any presence in the post on offense?
A pair at the line for Clarkson. The lead down to 6, and Damon Brooks has come back in with the 3 fouls. So Bob McKillop bought about 4 minutes with Damon Brooks on the bench. It was an 11-point lead. It's down to 6 with Brooks picked up number 3. Brooks through a double team. Throws one over the top of the backboard.
Bob, that was Missouri's best defensive possession of the game. They got out on 3-point shooters, and then when the ball went down low to Brooks, they collapsed, double-teamed hard, and forced them into a very difficult shot.
Brown from the baseline. Rosberg tried to keep it alive, but it's ripped away by Kalinowski. Numbers for Davidson. Brooks in the post on Rosberg. Yes. 20 points for the Southern Conference Player of the Year. Ross powers his way up and in. A chance for a three-point play as Sullivan's called for the foul.
And that's twice now that Ross has been able to use his strong body. And really, he's just going through the contact right here. I'm going to go up because I'm stronger and bigger than you. Take the hit and then finish. That's just a powerful move. Soft touch at the end to finish.
Second foul on Brian Sullivan. 10 team fouls now on Davidson. So the double bonus the rest of the way for Missouri in a 5-point game. Tipped ball, and now they'll call it an over and back. It looked as if that ball was deflected by Missouri. Brian Sullivan got a hand on it, but it deflected into the backcourt, and because Sullivan touched it before it went over the midcourt stripe, it's an over and back.
And the referees got that right. They're right on it. That ball is deflected right off of Sullivan's hands right there. Referees right on top of it, and they got the call right.
Just grazed his fingertips. That's a bad break for Davidson. Hand-checking foul called against Davidson. That's going to put Brown at the line for 2, and the 2014 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship tips off on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, ESPN3, or watch ESPN. Catch every moment of the tournament on the ESPN family of networks. You can find more information on every championship at ncaa.com, the home of all 89 NCAA championships. That foul on Droney is his 4th, so that will put Droney on the bench and bring Cherapovits back in. Of course, Cherapovits also has 4 fouls.
Coach Haith has talked about Jabari Brown's growth as a player and as a young man, and he is on full display tonight. He is impressive.
Davidson's largest lead was 13. It's down to 4. But a chance at the line for Damon Brooks, who went strong to the goal, and going down hard was Jonathan Williams.
This is why Damon Brooks is the Southern Conference Player of the Year. He is a matchup nightmare. Now, we talked about him being an undersized big. His first step is like a 2-guard or a point guard. You take a look right here and going to the hole, and this is just a hard fall.
He was undercut by Ernest Ross, his own teammate. But it looks like Jonathan Williams not only shaking it off, but he'll stay in the game.
And that's huge for Missouri. They're not deep, shorthanded to coming into this game.
Danny Feldman's at the scorer's table. He's ready to come in. Not sure if he's going to be replacing Jonathan Williams. And it looks like he will take Williams out. That foul on Williams was his 3rd. Only the 4th team foul on Missouri here in the second half. The lead 6 coming up on 8 minutes to go.
Davidson falls back into a 2-3 zone. I like the move for the game. Missouri shooting below 18% from the 3-point line. Smart move by Davidson.
Unless you allow ball penetration, and Jabari Brown splits the defense, and Rosberg finishes. Look at Damon Brooks go after the miss and draws the foul. A non-shooting foul, team foul number 5 on Missouri, but Damon Brooks with the hustle keeps the possession alive for Davidson. They'll have it when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and Rent-A-Center. With the Rack Flex plan, you can get a flexible payment plan with no credit check.
Davidson's largest lead was 13. They're up by 4, under 8 minutes to go. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee here in Missouri, and Damon Brooks has been the definition of an impact player when he's been on the floor.
And you can see the reason why. He is the Southern Conference Player of the Year. He is a matchup nightmare. He is a guy where you put a big on him, he is just too quick. First step is off the charts, and then he has soft hands around the basket where he can finish with the left or the right hand.
It was an 11-point lead for Davidson when Brooks went to the bench with his 3rd foul with about 14 minutes to go. In the 4 minutes he was on the bench, Missouri got the lead down to 6. And now Mizzou down by 4. Kalinowski for 3, off the mark. Danny Feldman has been good off the bench tonight. Barely plays, but without Tony Criswell and Ryan Rosberg picking up his 4th foul, Feldman's back in the game. Straightaway 3 on the way. Knocking it down is Jordan Clarkson. It's a 1-point game. Brooks comes to the foul line, got caught in midair. It was knocked away by a Missouri defender. So as a result, on the up-down, Brooks was able to keep the play alive, and then he draws the foul. Crowd wanted a traveling call as Brooks got caught in midair, but the officials ruled the ball was knocked out of his hands.
And there was no reason for them to slap at this ball right here. You're in good position. Keep your hands straight up. Don't bring your arms down. Every time you bring your arms down, the referees are going to call that.
Ernest Ross called for his 1st foul. And now Missouri is out of fouls to give. They've got 6.
Now for the season, Damon Brooks over 200 free throws. He's a guy that can get to the line because he's so shifty in the post. And that first step is lethal.
Well, Davidson advances in this tournament. He'll go over 1,800 points for his career. Look at him driving the baseline. Danny Feldman, the junior, lights up Mizzou Arena. Kalinowski, floater, no good. A chance for the Tigers to take the lead.
Well, it all started, Bob, when they picked up the defensive intensity. They're getting stops.
Ross, pull up, no good. Offensive rebound, Williams. Plus the foul.
Bob, early on in this game, we talked about Davidson got to every loose ball, every offensive rebound, and now that momentum has changed. That's a grown man rebound by Jonathan Williams, put back and finished, and the Mizzou bench is loving it.
Missouri hasn't led since the midway point of the 1st half, but now they've got the lead with 6:05 to play. And the freshman finishes off the 3-point play. How does Davidson now react?
Well, I think you got to go to Damon Brooks. He's been the guy. Get him a touch in the post where he can do some damage.
They heard you. And he'll go to the line again.
You know, Bob
called again on Jonathan Williams.
Bob, basketball is a simple game. It really is. And at the NBA level or at the college level, you go to what is working for you. You have the Southern Conference Player of the Year in Damon Brooks. He's a high percentage guy. And the thing I like about him, he's unselfish with the ball. So if he's doubled, he will throw it out. But if he's got a one-on-one situation, he's going to go to work and either score or get fouled like he's been doing all game.
4th foul on Jonathan Williams, so he'll go to the bench. Rosberg also has 4, but he comes back in. I worked a bunch of games this year with LaFonso Ellis, who played for a while in the NBA as well. And he talked about how good offense is just about finding that mismatch. And how a 24-second shot clock, the whole scouting report oftentimes in the NBA is identifying the mismatch and the matchup you want to go to and getting the ball there as quickly as possible, because oftentimes it's a 15-second offense you're running.
Playing down in Miami, Pat Riley, Stan Van Gundy was a coach down there. Eric Spoelstra was the video guy when I got down to Miami.
Jumper goes down for Ernest Ross.
It's a make-or-miss league, to steal a line from Doc Rivers. Basketball is a make-or-miss league, and right now, Missouri is knocking down shots and getting stops on defense.
Bullet pass by Brooks. That took McAuliffe by surprise. Instead, it's Belfort on the drive. And the putback is good for Brooks, plus the foul. We're tied again. 5:17 to go.
Well, how about we just move out of the way and let Brooks and Jabari Brown go one-on-one. I mean, this is just a great effort on the offensive glass. He has been impressive all game.
That's a new career high for Damon Brooks. 29 points to go with 6 rebounds. That's one senior that does not want his career to end tonight. Brown jump stop, reach in, foul call. They've got Kalinowski, so that will put Jabari Brown at the line.
And Missouri is doing some nice actions out of the zone. They're coming up, getting high ball screens, and then Davidson is late for the help. And that time, Jabari Brown was able to slash through the lane and come up with a foul. Bob Brown is another guy that got to the free throw line coming into this game 189 times. Doing a great job, not settling for jumpers, using his strength and athleticism.
Tom Droney comes back in along with Cherapovitz. They both have 4 fouls apiece. So in the last 5 minutes, it's hard to imagine this isn't going to be a war of attrition, and both of these teams are going to end up losing some players. If this thing goes to overtime, who knows who might be on the floor. And we'll remember that Missouri is shorthanded. Wes Clark, Shane Rector, both suspended. Violation of team rules for tonight's game. Tony Criswell has been suspended for a while now by Missouri. So Mizzou's got to be careful they don't run out of players. Brooks faces up. Got Rossberg to commit. Gives it up. Kalinowski, no good.
And that was a great block out that time by Ernest Ross.
Brown for 3. Way short. He's a 41% three-point shooter, so very good from downtown, but that time pulled the string.
Yeah, that one was a little deep.
Back to Damon Brooks. Droney floats one, no good. Weak side tip follow won't go for Cherapovitz. Shot clock doesn't reset. Still time. And a total force and a walk by Sullivan. Brian Sullivan made a play as if there was 1 second to go on the shot clock. There were still 6 seconds. And emotions are running hot here in the NIT.
Game over on ESPNU, Clemson and Georgia State. DeMarcus Harrison put Clemson up 13. It is a final now. They win. And over in the NCAA tourney, Albany moves on for a date with Florida. NC State up 12 with under 5 to play in the second half. A reminder coming up, top of the hour here on ESPN2. Jordan Loveridge getting ready to go as Utah takes on St. Mary's. That's coming up at 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
All right, Jamie, thanks very much. Who will move on to the second round of the NIT out of Mizzou Arena? It's a one-point game, under 4 minutes to go, and the first round of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship continues tomorrow on True TV beginning at 6:30 p.m. For more information on tournament game times and listings, you can go to ncaa.com. Bob Wischusen, Malcolm Huckabee, 3:45 remaining. Missouri has the ball. A one-point lead, both teams over the limit. Will shoot free throws the rest of the way, and the Tigers have the possession arrow. Ernest Ross finds Rosberg, a chance for a three-point play.
And that's a beautiful find by Ernest Ross, who has been impressive in stretches. Unselfish with the ball, draw a defender, and a nice little dump-off pass for an and-one situation.
And that's the fourth foul on Damon Brooks. Hard to believe, but this is Missouri's largest lead. It's up to 4 in a building where they are 48-3 in their last 51 games at home. Brooks, no good. The tip follow is good for Cherapovitz.
And that tip was created because Brooks is drawing so much attention. He had 3-4 Missouri defenders around him. Nobody was there to block out.
Jabari Brown. Yes. Too much for Kalinowski to try and check one-on-one. He's just too good.
Yeah, and I don't like Davidson playing man-to-man in that situation. Go zone. There's 2:34 left. You are not going to guard Jabari Brown one-on-one.
Ball movement for the corner three from Droney that's way short. And Brooks can't pick up his fifth foul. Has to back off and give the rebound to Danny Feldman.
And Missouri got away with one right there. Again, too much airspace for a three-point shooter. That's a breakdown.
Shot clock under 10. Clarkson, step back jumper. Yes. Timeout Davidson. Missouri is shooting 61% from the field in the second half and 58% from the field for the game. That doesn't bode well for Davidson getting stops down the stretch, which is what they'll have down by 6 with 1:45 to go.
Yeah, they are. And then also you look at it right here. Now Brooks, he draws so much attention, and he's a guy that other players are able to get loose on the offensive glass because he's double and triple teamed. But really the story has been Davidson on defense in this last, say, 5 to 8 minutes, going man-to-man against Missouri's backcourt. They're not going to win that matchup at all.
So you say, in spite of the fact that you might need to provide some pressure, down by 6, 1:45 to go, you go zone?
You have to. Now, 1:45, that's different. I think at around the 3-minute, 4-minute mark, they were still playing man-to-man. You cannot do that. You're not going to guard Jabari Brown. There's not too many teams in the country that are going to have somebody that can guard Jabari Brown, a guy that's going to be playing for a paycheck at the next level on the perimeter.
Kalinowski gets loose in the corner. Can't hit the three, and that was one that Davidson sorely needed from their best outside shooter.
And it was a beautifully designed play. Nice little flare screen. They set it up perfect. The pick was there. They got a wide open look. everything but the bucket.
Double team. Brown tried to split it. Davidson thought they had a steal. Instead, a foul called on Kalinowski. And that's his fourth. Utah and St. Mary's will continue round number 1 of the NIT from Moraga as soon as we're done here at Mizzou. And an 80% free throw shooter stretches the lead. What doesn't he do well?
I say the only weakness in his game would be, I think, similar to what Dwayne Wade had to deal with when he was coming out of college, is his three-point range. That's the only weakness I can see in his game. Other than that, though, mid-range size, his ability to score in the lane and take the hit. Man, I'm glad I'm sitting next to you and not out there trying to defend that young man.
Damon Brooks blocked to the corner. Ernest Ross with some help side defense.
Now, the only thing I don't like about that is he had the possibility to keep that ball in play. Keep the possession. Yeah, it looks good on SportsCenter. Yeah, the crowd gets involved, but it's still Davidson possession.
Kalinowski tries another three. This one he's got. And a quick timeout called by Bob McKillop. It's a 4-point game. 57.5 seconds to go.
And back to the block. I go back to listening to Bill Russell talk. He said, look, there's a lot of shot blockers out there that and you're going to take a look at the block. He has a situation right here where he can keep this ball in play. Tap it up or tap it out to a place where you have a chance to get the ball, but then the result is still Davidson ball. They have executed plays to get wide open looks, and that time they were able to knock down a three.
So if the zone ship has sailed and you have to go man-to-man, is this an immediate foul? Or are you going to try and win this game by putting Missouri at the free throw line? Or does Davidson, you feel like, have the confidence that their guys, even playing man-to-man, can get a stop late in the shot clock?
Well, it depends. Now, obviously, Jabari Brown, the ball in his hand, that's what makes him so special. He's over 80% from the free throw line. Depends on who's out on the court. If you have a guy that's shooting 60% on the floor, then yes, if you want to take a gamble on that. Otherwise, you got to play it out, try to get a stop, and then get a 3 or 2.
Day 2 of the NIT tomorrow night on ESPN2. First at 7, it's the Fighting Illini taking on BU. And then at 9, UC Irvine will take on Larry Brown's SMU Mustangs. First round of the NIT tomorrow night on ESPN2. Both games also live on Watch ESPN. Utah and St. Mary's already underway on ESPNU. So if you're looking for that game out west in the first round of the NIT, they are underway, and we're only moments away from taking you there here on ESPN2. The bad news in terms of trying to foul if you're Davidson is that Frank Haith does have a lot of excellent free throw shooters that he can go to. Missouri's number 1 in the SEC collectively as a team in free throw shooting, but they get the steal. A 3 for Sullivan off the mark. And there's the foul given by Cherapovitz, and that will foul him out. So Cherapovitz fouls out with 10 points. Ryan Rosberg will shoot the automatic 2 at the other end. He's only a 55% free throw shooter.
So he's the guy you want on the free throw line if you're Davidson. But back to that last possession, you get a 3, you get a steal. You don't necessarily need a 3 in that situation. I felt Brian Sullivan rushed the 3 on that right there. You can try to get a deuce. There's still over 49 seconds left on the clock. Now it's a 2-possession game. You get a deuce, you're down by 2, you foul or go for a steal, but you don't need a 3 in that situation right there.
Sullivan shoots it from three-point land at 39%, which was top 10 in the Southern Conference as well, but that probably a step or 2 further out than most of his makes come from.
Well, and it was contested. Now, if it's off of penetration and kick or it's a wide open 3, yeah, that's fine, but a beyond NBA 3 contested in that situation, you do not need it.
Rosberg, 55% at the line. Knocks down the first.
big free throw by Rosberg.
Got them both. 6-point lead. Droney on the drive. Can't finish. Saved by Kalinowski. Sullivan's got it in the corner. Brooks back outside. Kalinowski for three. No good. And it's finally held underneath by Ernest Ross. 27 seconds to go. And he'll shoot 2 free throws at the other end. And if that foul is on Damon Brooks, he'll be done. And it looks like it is.
Well, it's the end of his season. An impressive career. You talked about it. Over 1,700 points coming into this game. Over 750 rebounds. A couple of Southern Conference Player of the Year awards. And really, really impressive career by that young man.
It looks like he's fighting back the emotion of a senior knowing that his Davidson career is over. That is a career and a half for Damon Brooks.
Some guys can play 8 years and not put up those type of numbers. He did it in 4.
So barring a miracle for Davidson, Missouri is going to fight from 13 points down and 11 points down with about 14 minutes to go when they put Brooks on the bench with 3 fouls to advance on to the second round of the NIT. Davidson can't afford to run their offense for long. What a play, flipping over the scorer's table. Ernest Ross, and he's hurt. Nope, he's right back up.
And that's just great hustle and effort. And he's been a big guy in this second half that has really come alive with his energy and effort, and that's a huge play, keeping the possession alive for Missouri.
It's not the NCAA tournament. It is the NIT, but you see a kid make an effort play like that, and you realize once players at your level get into the heart of this competition, boy, it means a lot.
You play to win the game once you get into it, and Missouri is going to pull out a win right here. Give Davidson credit early on. They shot the ball well, but in the end, Missouri picked up the defensive intensity. And then, boy, this backcourt, Jabari Brown, one of the most impressive guards I've seen all year.
So it's an 8-point win for Frank Haith's Missouri Tigers. And they will await the winner of Southern Miss Toledo tomorrow night at 8:30. Coming up, even more NIT hoops. Our next stop, Moraga. It's Utah taking on St. Mary's. So long from Columbia.
And we welcome those